I am super excited for what I have planned for you guys today. So, this is something that I work a lot with my clients, no matter what phase they're in, because it's something very important. And I find um, every few months, whenever they're ready for something new, we always have to come back to this. So, it seems to be a very big piece of the foundation in being able to stay consistent, move forward, and manifest your goals. So, this is really important. And I find, like I said, it is a staple foundation in our ability to master creating success, master evolution, being able to continuously move forward and to manifest in what we're wanting to bring in. So I'm super excited to share with you guys what I have today. So we're going to be talking about 5 different ways to increase productivity. Now, I don't know if it's exactly 5. They all work together. So, but I kind of broke it down into 5 little points. So, 5 ways to increase that productivity is why I'm calling it that. So, like I said, it all works together. So it's not necessarily 5 steps, so to speak. Some of them you're going to do at once, but it's 5 points along the process. So, the first thing that I want to share with you guys is we have to focus on what matters the most. Okay. So, the biggest challenge that I find I've had with myself and can still come up with because society and like energy is real, like the transfer of energy. And, you know, with our families or with our lovers or with other people or people that we work with, right? Like energy can be transferred. And so it can be so easy sometimes to get lost in what is really meant for us. And we start taking on too much or we start doing things that aren't really meant for who we are. And we start to kind of get a little bit clouded in what we're supposed to be doing and we start to do too much. And I know something for me personally that can create this lost feeling or this cloudy feeling is when I am like, okay, because I know me, I'm an overachiever 100%. I'm a high achiever and I want big things, right? I have big dreams. I have really big ideas that I want to manifest. But sometimes I can absorb outside energy, right? Like I will see things on TikTok or I'll see things on Facebook or I'll see things out in public or whatever. And I'll get this idea that oh, I'm supposed to do that just because I liked it, right? Just because I liked it or I admired something about it. And there might be something within there that is meant for me, but maybe not the whole thing. And I know for me, sometimes I can take on that whole thing. And something that I've realized in my own healing journey is I always, kind of have to question myself. Why do I believe I have to do it like this? Why do I have to show up like this? Or why do I believe that I want this? I really always want to make sure I'm extremely aware. Awareness is key in healing and manifesting and what you're trying to accomplish, because if you're not constantly kind of reflecting or bringing awareness to like why you're doing it anyways, we can kind of start taking on things that just are not meant for us. And so, what I find a big root uh, issue or cause of this is, at least for me and a lot of clients that I've worked with. So, if this resonates for you, take what resonates. And if it doesn't resonate with you, that's totally cool too. I just share, I like to teach from storytelling from my own experience or from what I've experienced with working with my clients. So, a big root cause of this pattern, right? I work a lot with breaking patterns and identifying patterns so that life patterns that aren't serving us can be broken and we can create new experiences. Therefore, we can manifest something that's more soul aligned for us in our external world. And our internal world becomes more soul aligned. So, therefore, our external world starts to mirror that, right? So, hopefully, that's making sense so far. But the root of this, at least for myself and from my clients, what I've seen from them as well, is this is coming down to this like, okay, we need to be validated. We need to be accepted. We need to be seen. We need to be heard. We need to know that we're contributing. We need to feel needed. We need to feel wanted, right? So sometimes we start taking things on and we're not letting ourselves be really aware, like, is this really what we want? Is this really what we need? And we're not really asking like, why is this important to me? And we're not getting the full thing. So we get this big thing, we're like, okay, we're going to do this, and we work so hard, But instead of whether it's for us or not, we're not actually able to make any progress. We're doing too much and then we end up not really doing anything, right? We're taking on too many tasks. We're trying to do it all. We're trying to master it all and we're taking on too much. At least I know that's something that I have had patterns of just taking on too much and then at the end of the week or at the end of the month, I look back and I'm like, gosh, I feel like I didn't really get anything done. And then whenever I come back into it, I realized that I was operating out of a wound. I was operating out of this wound of needing like validation or acceptance or just not feeling good enough. And on my own, right? I need this shiny thing or I need this accomplishment or I need this achievement to get that hit of dopamine, that hit of acceptance, that hit of I'm good enough, right? Oh, I get the gold star or oh, I've checked a box, right? Our society has taught us that that's what success is. And a big thing of what I like to do is really helping my clients and even myself. This is work I do for myself, right? We step back. We have to step back and we have to really continuously ask ourselves, is this really what success looks like for me? Is this really what I need? Because what I know to be true is when our focus is split into 100 different directions, we're not actually making any progress towards any of it. And we're not meant to be multi tasking. We're not meant to be multitasking individuals. We're not machines. We're humans. And we might like to think that we can do 100 things at once. But the truth is, if I got on my phone right now, I would not be able to have this connection or this conversation with you. And if I start looking at other things, I'm going to lose my focus. I'm going to lose my flow, right? And because it's the truth, we're not meant to be multitasking. We need to create a focus. I cannot be doing anything else other than connecting with you right now. Otherwise, I will not be doing it properly. I will be lost. It won't make any sense. And same for you guys. If you guys are tuned into me right now, if you're connected, if you're listening, you are only tuned into me. You cannot be playing on your phone. You cannot be talking to your kids. It's that's how we work, right? So the same thing matters with our goals and our priorities. So if we have a bunch of things that we want to do or a bunch of things, and here's the issue with humans, right? We've got multifaceted lives, right? We've got children, we've got lovers, we've got careers, we've got ourselves, right? We want better self-care, we want personal development, we want to learn more, we want to educate ourselves, we want to thrive in our careers. We want to be the best wife we can be or the best partner we can be. We want to be the best parent, right? Whatever it is, we've got multiple things that we are working on. So it can be really hard to juggle all of that without really being clear on what matters most. And that's where people can get into these patterns of feeling stuck or unfulfilled because they're focusing on so many different things and they're focusing on things that aren't actually meant for them, right? They're focusing on it because they might admire something. You can admire something or like something, but it might not actually be yours. And so connecting into that soul is extremely important. And also making sure that there's not some root of needing validation, right? So it's like sometimes we unintentionally or our subconsciously are trying to put our feet in too many doors because we've got to feel important. We've got to feel needed. We've got to feel heard. And that is the key. The key is coming back, coming down, and allowing yourself to step back, let all of this external stuff go. Go within and give yourself that validation. Give yourself that I hear you. I see you. Now, what is it that you really want? So that's the first thing, right? And once we really start to build that connection of like who we really are and what we really want and what really matters. So now we've got to set that in place, but we still have a lot of things. We're multifaceted, not multitasking, right? We're multifaceted. So we love so many different things. So you will find in your soul that there are a lot of things that you love, but you can let go of all the excess, right? So that first step is going in and how can we remove the excess because we genuinely do not have the capacity for it and when we let go of that excess of what's not ours and we can love that but it's not for us, it's not our path, right? And just really getting hyper focused, narrowing it down to what really matters, right? Once we do that, then right, things like for me, right, so some of my priorities are myself, right, my self-care, my family, my daughter and my lover, right? My partner, my career and my personal development, my education, and my spirituality. These are all things that are extremely, extremely important to me. And these are things that I want to make sure I have balance in. And that's the second thing, right? So once you know who you are, so step one is know who you are and know what really, like what is really yours and what's not, right? Get to that wound of, am I overcompensating? Am I trying to be heard or be seen and I'm taking on too much, right? Get to that wound, clear that out, really hear and see yourself fully, validate yourself, and then come back. What is it that I want? Now we've got to prioritize it, right? That's step two, prioritizing it, scheduling it, really kind of figuring out, okay, I've got time. I'm going to do this in the morning. This is my self care time. This is my time. Or when I am overstimulated at work, and this is an example that I want to give you from one of my own clients, right? So we are going to figure out where we need to put places in, and then we got to figure out how we're going to do it. So before I tell you my example of my client, I want to give you guys some examples of what this might look like. So we've got to schedule it, right? So let's say we want to read more, or let's say we want to do more yoga, or we want to work out, or we want to make sure we keep in our house clean, because I know like sometimes I feel much better when my house is clean, but sometimes I'm not balanced, right? If I fall out of balance, then guess what? So does my house. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I living in? Right? Like, so we've got to find that balance and we've got to figure out what is important to us and how can we balance it and how can we manage it, right? And so do we need to do more research? Do we need to take classes? Do we want to spend more time marketing? Are we putting ourselves out there if we have like our own business or if we're trying to create our own business, right? What are the little things, or taking time for ourselves, like having a morning routine or taking time throughout the day, like I'm going to tell you in this next story. What are the little things that you want to be doing? It's what you need, and you want to let go of all the other excess stuff, and you want to just hear yourself and show up for yourself, right? So the first little tip that I have for this is set that schedule, or kind of have an idea of what it is that you want to be doing for yourself and where, right? Like what areas of life it is. And then set these small, reasonable, manageable, achievable goals for yourself, right? So, for example, if you want to read more, if you want to do any of these little things more, what amount of time feels good for your nervous system? This is going to help you build that discipline. Okay. Because like I said, I've got three more things coming up to make our 5 points. And these last 2 through 5 kind of all work together. So once you figure out what you need to do, what's a reasonable goal that feels good for your nervous system, right? So is it, okay, I need to prioritize getting my house done, right? So this is something that I used to do. I hated doing dishes. So I would be like, okay, I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes. I've got 15 minutes. I'm going to take a 15-minute break and I'm going to do these dishes and get this done. And then I can do something else or whatever. And if I get done in 15 minutes, great. If not, and I want to stop, I'm allowed to stop, right? So I set a timer for 15 minutes. And what I found is just starting, whether it's reading or cleaning or whatever it is that we're avoiding, right? Whatever it is that we know we want to do, we know it would benefit us, but we're avoiding it, right? Just starting can be the hardest part. So if we set a small goal, like, okay, I'm going to do yoga 5 minutes. I'm going to do yoga 5 minutes, or I'm going to read for 5 minutes, or whatever it is. If you set a goal that's extremely small, sometimes starting is the hardest thing. And once you get started, you fall in it, right? I remember multiple times I've set these little goals for yoga or reading or cleaning, and I'll get started and I'll be like, oh no, this is so good. Or no, I'm almost done. Or I feel much better now that this is happening. I'm going to finish it, or I'm going to keep going, or I'm going to spend a little bit more time on it. And now you're in it, right? So sometimes starting, because what I find is we set these really unrealistic or high expectations. Again, coming back to that wound of, what am I trying to prove? Right? What am I trying to prove to myself? Or what am I trying to prove to others? Right? Coming back into, I see you, I hear you. This is what feels good for us. We're not doing this to prove something to somebody else, right? Coming back in and being there for yourself, being compassionate for yourself, which is one of the steps, right? So getting clear on what the goals are and setting really realistic plans to make it happen so that you can execute it, right? You've got 5 minutes, right? We spend so much time on our devices, right? So it's all about getting started. Sometimes that's the hardest part. So setting that goal. Now, here's the next thing. I had a client. She is feeling all of these anxiety. She's feeling very anxious. She's emotionally overwhelmed and she's burnt out. She's getting frustrated, starting to feel resentful, like at work or with her kids or whatever the case is. And we pinpoint it down to she's not taking care of herself. She's not spending enough self care time. She's not taking the time to be kind to herself or be there for herself. So we identified those areas, those points of her day where she might benefit from taking that 15-minute or that 10-minute or that 5-minute breather, reset, recharge, right? Okay, so that's the next thing is identifying your boundaries. So that's step 3 is identifying your boundaries and like where are you needing to implement these 15-minute things that is going to help your day stay stable, your mood stay stable, your day feel fulfilled, right? Where do we need to place these things? And what I find, especially when it comes with self-care, the best times are going to be like morning and then night and then throughout the day when you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed. One of the biggest things that I teach my clients is to master the habit of when you're feeling cloudy or when you're feeling disconnected or when you feel out of alignment, when you are blocked, stop. And that takes faith. It takes faith and trust that everything's going to keep running smoothly if you stop. Again, that comes back to these wounds of I've got to take responsibility. I've got the weight of the world. I've got all of these things that I've got to make sure that I'm taking care of because everybody is depending on me. And if I fail, I'm not good enough. I'm going to disappoint myself. I'm going to disappoint others. Right. So it's these wounds too. We've got to get these wounds nurtured. We've got to reparent these wounds in order for us to show up, to remain balanced, to be able to just start sometimes. So now, so I'll review just a little bit. We know who we are. We're really checked into our wounds and we're comforting them and we're being very clear and intentional on how we're spending our time, right? And then we're scheduling it. We're figuring out what are the little things that are going to add up and make us feel fulfilled, make us feel stable, make us feel connected, right? Or whatever it is, achieve that accomplishment, right? That we're looking for, but that's aligned, that soul aligned achievement, right? And then we've got to set the realistic goals. Okay, we're going to read for 5 minutes. We're going to do this we're going to take time for ourselves to rejuvenate for 10 minutes when I'm feeling overwhelmed, right? And then we got to set those boundaries, right? So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now, number 4, when we go to set those boundaries, it's you versus you. The next thing you will encounter is you versus you. Okay, so now my client, right? She's setting this boundary. She's like, okay, I know that when I'm emotionally overwhelmed at work, I need to say, okay, this will be here when I'm back. I'm going to go take time for 10 minutes. In the beginning, now this is super important. These last 2 are extremely important because they're the key to transformation. Okay. It's you versus you. When she goes to set that boundary for the first time, maybe even for the first week of continuously setting that boundary, who knows how long, right? Let's say for the last 30 years, she has not allowed herself to step back. She has told herself the story that if she steps back, she's selfish, she's a bad person, she's not going to be accepted at work, they're going to fire her, failure, right? And then total survival mode kicks in. And now we're pushing ourselves past exhaustion instead of just taking 10 minutes, right? Because when we think about it logically, when we step back, 10 minutes is not going to equal destruction, right? But because we've been told all of our lives, or whatever it is, our conditioning, or we've had past trauma where that's been the case, we have to go in and we have to allow ourselves to not live in that past or live in that pattern and allow ourselves to create something different. And it's going within, right? But in the beginning of setting those boundaries, it's going to be you versus you. So that fear, that part of you that is just trying to make you survive, that hasn't allowed yourself to create a new experience just yet, because it's going to take practice. Every time she steps back for 10 minutes when she's feeling emotionally overwhelmed or overstimulated, she's going to hear this voice. The 10 minutes is for rest and rejuvenation. But at first, she's not going to get that. At first, she's going to hear this voice tell her, this is pointless. This isn't going to work. You need to go back to work. You need to be going to do this. You need to get this done. What are you doing? You're messing everything up, right? And her job in these moments is step 5. Send love and compassion to this part of you that is freaking out. She's not your bully. She's not your enemy. She might feel like your enemy. She might feel like your bully. She might feel like she's whipping you or punching you and beating you up emotionally, right? She's not. She's scared. You become the adult. You start to reparent her. We're going to be okay. It's 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes. Because guess what? In the beginning, it may not feel like you're resting or rejuvenating, but you really are, because what's happening is you are building a new relationship with this fear. You are reparenting and re-nurturing this fear. And sometimes before we can rest and relax, we have to embrace and we have to hear ourselves fully. We have to connect with ourselves fully. So I hope this is making sense so far. Like I said, 5 ways, kind of, but it's really like it all works together. Okay. So again, step 1, know who you are. Who you are. You, not me, not what you've seen on TikTok, not everything else, but who you are and the real reasons as to why you might be taking on too much. What are you compensating for? What part of you needs to be seen or heard that you feel this achievement or this new task is going to give you, right? Let all that excess go. Get very hyper focused, narrow it down to the minimum because you've already got a lot on your plate. Even if you narrow it down to the minimum, those big 5 areas, it's a lot, right? Ourselves, our families, our careers, our continued education, our personal development, spirituality, or whatever, right? Those are general. But whatever's important to you, those 3 to 5 areas, there's already enough to do there. Let's get it narrowed down. Figure out what the little things are. Set small goals. And then set those boundaries. When do you have to do it? What points in the day are you likely to need that boundary where you're going to just do it anyways, even though the voice tells you, what are you doing? You're making a mistake. You're going to hurt us, right? I'm scared. I'm scared. I'm scared. And then you love that fear. Okay. So I hope this is valuable. I hope this is helpful. I know it's extremely transformative. Also, if you enjoyed today's video or if you're resonating, whatever, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So let me know if this was helpful today. Let me know if you're like, oh my God, Heather, you said exactly what I needed. I love to hear if this is good for you guys, if you guys got value from it, what maybe you liked about it or what was confusing. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions. So I think that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you so much for joining me and I'll see you guys next week.